Uh-huh. Oh yeah. Wait a minute, girl, can you slow down? Wait a minute, girl, what's the rush now? I wanna introduce myself to you. My name is one-on-one guy to prefer now. I like the way you put your fists together. I like the way you do your hair in the morning. I see why all the boys want you, girl.
YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here with yet another Washington Commanders live stream. And in today's live stream, I have two special guests joining me today. And before we get into it, I do want to apologize for the late appearance. You know, I had something happen at the last minute, but we're here now. And I'm joined by two special guests. Starting to my left, you have my guy, the real Ed Oliver, not the one from the Buffalo Bills, also known as your co-host or your host of Locked On Wizards. And some big Wizards news happened not too long ago. And then to my right, you know, you got a familiar face, Pedro Schmith, joining me tonight. I appreciate it, fellas, for coming on with me tonight. Starting with Ed, how you doing, man? Appreciate it.
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, huge news tonight with Tommy Shepard being dismissed and fired. It's crazy, man. I mean, we got a lot of new things in DC. New owner for the Commanders, new GM for the Wizards. Just a lot of new hope going on for the city.
Yeah, definitely. And Pedro, how you doing, bro? I appreciate you for coming.
Hopefully a new coach too for the Wizards.
They're keeping West.
I know, I saw that, but
yeah.
Hey, hopefully the new GM changes his mind and moves on from West. But yeah, I'm doing good. Appreciate you, Juan, for having me on. You're always on the channel, so appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely, guys. And I spoke to it right away. Super change in the city, man. And hopefully this is the start of something special, you know, for the Commanders. Specifically, we'll jump right into it. The owner news, man. Ed, give me your first opinions on it and your thought of it as of right now with Josh Harris being, you know, the new owner per se, but not technically inked yet. How are you feeling about that? And then you can also add in, I don't know if you was listening to the Brian Davis thing. Did you ever buy into that or ever feed into that kind of part of the potential owner, I guess?
No, but shout out to Dor Gunner. He says, who cares about NBA playoffs when the NHL playoffs are rocking? Yeah, come on, man. NBA playoffs are a lot better than NHL. But Brian Davis, yeah, I mean, I listened to the radio this morning and you know, he just talked about capital. He said he's got money and all kinds of stuff. It was hilarious. I don't know if you guys listened to it, but yeah, he said that he sells like solar energy or something like that. That's how he gets his money and stuff like that. But he scammed Sean Merriman. Or not scammed is probably the right word for it. But he had a bad deal with Sean Merriman. He had a bad deal with Scottie Pippen. He's had a bad deal with a couple of guys. He's from PG County, went to Bladensburg High School. You know, I went to PG County public high school as well, played basketball against Bladensburg, went to Duke. I hate Duke. You know, I still hate Duke. I'm a Maryland fan. But yeah, he's not going to get it, man. He's trying, but he just doesn't have the assets. He doesn't have the money. Darren Haynes has really been pushing the story too, but it's kind of a bad look on Darren Haynes because everybody knows that Brian Davis isn't going to get it. But yeah, it's going to be Josh Harris. It's going to be Magic Johnson. Josh Harris has like a couple other partners. I think it's like 17 other partners. Pedro sent it to me. It was like 15 or something like that. Joe Gibbs, people are saying Joe Gibbs is going to be a part of it, but there's a story saying Joe Gibbs is not going to be a part of it. I know RG3 was saying that he was trying to be a part of it, so we'll see if he's a part of it too. But yeah, it's a new brand. It's a new day. I'm excited for Josh Harris. I'm excited for Magic Johnson, for Mitchell Rails, and I could just sit back and laugh at Brian Davis, man. He's an interesting guy. He's definitely one of those schemers and scammers for sure. One of those like America pyramid scheme kind of guys.
Yeah, they were saying like he just did this to promote his brand or whatever he has going on, and I can speak to that too, man. Went to a Prince George's County school, you know, also, and played against Bladensburg in baseball. We didn't win, but we played them. KD's another name that was kind of thrown around in the hat. That's something that's a little bit more believable than this Brian Davis guy. Because it was kind of like, where did you get this money from? You know, I thought he was I was using star word, and it turns out he wasn't even a star basketball player. He was just kind of like just a guy, and he went to the NBA for 1 year. So I'm like, okay, you didn't get the NBA money. Where is this coming from? And then they had the interview today, and a lot of people was pretty much clowning it. Pedro, what is your take on it as far as that specific thing? And then obviously Josh Harris being the lead dog and, unofficially named the new Washington Commanders owner.
Well, I didn't listen to it, but I did see like the quotes. I saw a lot of quotes on Twitter. I don't wake up that early. I woke up at like 10 or whatever, 10:30, but I saw a lot of the quotes and everything about, just how he just kept on rambling and speaking in circles and stuff like that. And how, it was basically just a bunch of BS. So I don't think he'll, I mean, I guess the money, he has the money technically, and he's like making the offer, but it's never going to get approved by the NFL. That's kind of what I was hearing right there. And then in terms of Dan being gone, super happy. I mean, it's been since 2005 since we won a playoff game. I was like 2 or 3 years old at that time. So like I haven't been able to witness a playoff win pretty much. And yeah, I'm just happy to get rid of that midget.
Yeah, man, and I can't agree more. I'm just like you, man. Haven't experienced nothing. Like I know a lot of other fans, obviously the older fan base, have witnessed the 3 Super Bowls. Ed, I know at least you got to witness 2005, man. I was 2 to 3 years old around that time, man. My greatest Washington year is 2012, and the greatest, someone asked me the other day and was like, what is your favorite or greatest era that you have witnessed with the Washington Commanders? You know what I had to tell them? I had to tell them 2015 to 2018, and that was a good stretch because I mean I was pretty much younger and I always thought we had hope. But looking back on it, that is terrible to have to answer, bro. That is bad. That my best stretch of watching this team is losing to the Packers in a wild card. Kirk Cousins throwing away 2016 when we should have clinched the playoff berth. That was such a heartbreaker. I literally shed a tear, bro. That was probably one of the worst losses. That's probably still the worst loss, honestly, in my tenure, because that hurt so bad because of this, what was at stake. And then 2017, that was the year we had the number 2 best offense, passing offense. I don't even know what happened that year, how we fell off since we had the best passing offense. I know the defense was just probably terrible. And then 2018 was the last year, the first half part of the year where I thought we could actually contend for something. But we know that went down the drain after Alex Schmith went down. But yeah, man, you got a little bit on us, man. So I'm a little bit jealous, that you got to experience some of that fun. Like I talk about Sean Taylor, but I've never seen him play in real life. I only know highlights, tapes, and stuff like that. You got to witness some of that. So I know Dan Snyder has been terrible to all of us, but at least you got a little bit,
Yeah, I went to the game where it was a block kick against Dallas, and he picks it up and he like ran it back to like the 40, and then the kicker, I forgot, I can't remember, it was Nick Novak or somebody, and then he made a kick to beat the Cowboys because like Jason Witten caught a pass like in our territory. You can look up the highlights too. I was at that game. I was leaving, the crowd went crazy, and I looked up and on the TV, and Sean Taylor was just running around and got into the Cowboys territory. But that was a good moment that I saw actually in person.
Yeah, man. Again, hopefully those days are, ahead now that Dan Snyder is officially out of the picture, man. And again, I never thought I would see the day. I mean, Dan Snyder's like 50 something. So I was like, he's going to be here for the rest of my life. Now, moving away from the owner talk, because the next biggest thing is the draft night. What do you want to see us do at 16, Ed, and what do you expect us to do? So give me your opinion of what you would do, and what do you think the team is going to ultimately end up doing?
Yeah. Before I get to that, Anthony Thomas, he said Brian Davis said my money comes from white people. That was one of the crazy things he said. And talking about Saudi money too, Saudi money. Y'all gotta listen to it because they put up the podcast on iTunes too. But in the first round, of course, you want to see them attack the offensive line or cornerback. There's some good corners out there. Deontay Banks, Devin Witherspoon, he might fall. Jory Porter, you know, a lot of people are iffy on him because of our scheme and the foot speed. Some people don't think he's fast enough or too handsy. Deontay Banks, Emmanuel Forbes is the guy they may reach for in the first round. I don't think they will. And then offensive line, Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. They just met with Anton Harrison. Some people think he may be a reach at 16, maybe late first round. Trading back in the first round, he might be a good pick. Osiris Torrance, maybe in the second round if he falls. So there's a lot of good linemen. Peter Skoronski at a I forgot where did Peter Skoronski go to? Northwestern, right? Yeah, so he might fall to 16. We'll see. But there's a lot of good. DeJuan Jones, I don't think he'll fall. But there's Paris Johnson, he won't fall. But there's a lot of good tackles, good offensive linemen. So we got to beef up this offensive line. We still have a hole at the left guard position. Wiley was a good pickup. Norwell's still on the roster. Charles Lano, what's going to happen with him? Are they going to draft a tackle and release him? So offensive line and corner are probably the two positions I see them going after in the first 2 rounds for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Pedro, what about you? What do you think they're going to ultimately end up doing, and what would you honestly do and be happy with?
Yeah, and they're not going to draft Bijan Robinson. I'll just throw that out there.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen. I don't think it'll happen. But I agree with Ed. I think it should be and it will be either O-line or cornerback. I probably would prefer cornerback, but I'm fine with O-line as well. Like, I think that if you're drafting an O-lineman, I think you should draft a tackle. And we already kind of have not necessarily solidified because we have, Leno could get cut, but we signed Andrew Wiley to be a right tackle. I almost wish we signed him to be a guard or sign someone else to be a guard, like the guard from the Eagles, whatever his name, Isaac Siamalu or whatever. He got paid by the Steelers for like $8 million a year. You could add him inside and then still been able to draft a tackle in the first round, and they still can do that and release Charles Leno, and that'll be fine. So if Peter Skoronski's there, or however you pronounce his name, if he's there, or Paris Johnson's there at 16, I would love that. If Christian Gonzalez is there, of course you run it in and take it, but don't think he's going to be there. Devin Witherspoon, I think there's a possibility he's there. Would take him. I love Deontay Banks. I would probably take him over Joey Porter. So if he's there, I would consider. And there's honestly, what I want them to do is probably trade back unless one of the top 3 or 4 guys on their board is there, because I think one of these guys, Deontay Banks, Brian Branch, Darnell Wright, Broderick Jones, and maybe throwing a couple other guys will be there at 23, 24. So I think trading back wouldn't be a terrible option for them. And I'm honestly kind of leaning towards them probably taking offensive line, just from kind of what I've been listening to on Khan's podcast and just a lot of the players that they've been meeting with.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with both of you all, man. I want us to take a cornerback at 16. I remember, like I said, back in November, I kind of felt like I was one of the first people to realize cornerback is what might be the first round pick. And we have some good talent. This offseason, we brought in a guy like Cameron Dantzler, who I feel like the upside on him is amazing. If we could find a way to potentially get him back to what he was in 2020 or even better, we have 2 pretty solid corners, 2 Benjamin St. Juices out there, to be honest with you. Kendall Fuller is only 27 years old, man, and he's been in the league so long. That's crazy to say that he's only 27. He's going to his last year of the deal, so potentially drafting a guy in the first round. Yeah, I know predominantly we want it to be slot because that's what we need, but given the fact that Kendall was going to his last deal, you would want to probably draft the outside corner that has potential to play slot, because then he could replace Kendall Fuller next year. But I definitely see a scenario where it's either cornerback or offensive line at 16. But I think I'm leaning, as we get closer and closer to the draft, I think I'm leaning more towards us actually just trading back, because we can recuperate more draft capital for later rounds. And we know what we did later in the draft last year. But another thing I want to ask is, it was been talks about the Washington Commanders actually taking an edge rusher at 16. I know a lot of people are probably like, what? But what they were basically explaining is that you either have to pick Chase Young or Montez Sweat. You can't re-sign both of them. More likely than not, you can't re-sign both of them. So that allows you to then have a Miles Murphy kind of guy come in, and he can replace one of those guys. And you have him for the next 5 years. What do you guys sit with that? We'll start with Pedro with this one. Would you do that not necessarily. Okay, if at 16 nobody that we want is there, would you take Miles Murphy? Or if we don't, if we just trade back and we select the edge rusher, like let's say 23, are you fine with that also?
Definitely don't want us to take one at 16, even if there's a good guy available. Well, if there's a guy that's high on other people's board and he's there at 16, trade back. And, because a team's going to want to go up and get him. So trade back. And even trading back in the first, I'm still not with that. Like, I still don't think that would be a good pick just because, we already have Chase Young and Montez Sweat, and we have them under contract for this year. And yes, their futures are in question in terms of if they're going to be on this team, but they're still under contract. We have other positions right now that have holes that we have no one there. Like linebacker, we need another linebacker. And I'm not saying for us to draft this in the first round. I'm just giving examples. Cornerback, we need another cornerback. We currently do not have a starting slot cornerback. Maybe Danny Johnson, but like Danny Johnson's a good fourth or fifth corner, not your third, not a starting cornerback. And then tackle, you need another guard. You could use another tight end. Like all that before edge rusher. Even in the second round, I'm still wouldn't be happy about it. In the third round, that's when I'm like, okay, maybe we can take one in the third round. And, if we trade back and get a third round pick, maybe with that third round pick, the 97th overall, we could take an edge rusher, or in the first round is just a little bit way too early for me. And you have other holes to fill instead of edge rusher.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, man. I would not draft an edge rusher, like probably not into the third round, because again, like you said, we already have these guys under contract for at least this year. And yeah, you could definitely get ahead of the 8 ball by getting a guy like Miles Murphy, but that wouldn't be a guy that's gonna make a super impact right now. And you want to draft a first rounder that's going to come in and make an impact right away. So that wouldn't be smart. So I'm with you. I definitely think we should draft the edge rusher, attack the depth, probably in like the third or fourth round. That wouldn't be smart in my opinion, even if we did trade back. Ed, what about you? Do you think Washington should do that? Because they brought him in for a visit, so they're obviously interested.
Yeah, I'm piggybacking off of Pedro. I wouldn't draft a defensive end, even if we traded back to like the 27th pick or something like that in the late 20s. I wouldn't pick a defensive end. I still would go for an offensive lineman or a corner or even a tight end. I just feel like those three positions are more of a need right now. You still want to see what you got in Chase. You want to see what you got in Montez. And I still think there's some good value in the third or fourth round. It's a pretty good defensive end class. So you got there's more value you can find in the fourth round rather than get somebody in the first round. So yeah, I wouldn't go with D. I mean, Miles Murphy is an intriguing prospect. They're doing their due diligence on him. You can probably give him in the second round, maybe late first. But there's just more pressing needs, man. We got to beef up this O-line. We got to get more corners. We got to get more depth. Ben St. Juste, you can't, I'm not gonna say he's not reliable, but he's missed a lot of games. Kendall Fuller, he's in a contract year. I get it, Chase Young. You don't know what they're gonna do with his fifth-year option coming up. Montez Sweat is gonna be a free agent after this season. So there's some big question marks. And then your backups, Casey Toohill and William Bradley King, Shaka Tony, guys like that, they're okay. But they're depth pieces. We don't really have any guys that are rotational guys that come in and provide, a lot of explosiveness behind Chase, behind Montez Sweat. So we could definitely use another backup defensive end, but I'm not drafting a backup defensive end in the first round. I wouldn't agree with that.
Yeah, and just one other thing is like you're drafting a guy in the first round that's maybe going to play 25-30% of the snaps. And that to me is completely ridiculous. So the only way I'm drafting a guy in the first round, and I still probably wouldn't do this, is if you're like, okay, we got a good offer in place for Montez Sweat. I'll trade him and then get a first or then I'll draft the edge rusher. Even then, I don't like that. But at least your rookie first round pick is going to play, because it's just not good for the confidence of the player. Even though he knows those guys in front of him are good and Chase Young and Montez Sweat, if he's playing like 25% of the snaps, he's not going to feel good about that. And then You don't know how he's going into his second year. So I absolutely hate the idea of drafting an edge rusher in the first round. Even in the second round, I think it would be very similar to what they did with Fidarian Mathis. And I didn't like that pick. Still don't really like that pick. Not saying I don't like the player, but just the pick.
Yeah, definitely agree. And you brought up tight end in the first round. That is another position that actually a couple NFL analysts that has been making mock drafts about the Washington Commanders actually have us selecting a tight end in the first round. Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. Looking at that position group, Ron Rivera thinks of that position group different than a lot of other people. He genuinely feels like that group is good. And honestly, I wouldn't necessarily say it's good. I would just say potential is through the roof because our tight end one and Logan Thomas hasn't been the same since 2020. He hasn't really contributed, and he rarely can stay healthy. And I know a lot of it is due to Scott Turner too, because I mean his wife, they kind of spoke out about that last season. So I know he isn't just completely trash in a way, but I definitely would not be mad, and I'm making a video on this right after this. I'm dropping it after this about the tight end position. If cornerback isn't there at 16, and offensive line isn't there at 16, I feel like drafting a tight end at 16, unless it's him, would be kind of odd. But if we traded back to like the 20s and we selected a tight end, I would be fine with it. Because I definitely think we would be better off with having a young guy and that can come in here and actually be Sam Howell's best friend. The tight end is the best friend to the quarterback. So I really would not be mad at that move at all, especially if it's a guy like him. And they said Eric Bieniemy gets his Travis Kelce. Now, obviously, this guy isn't Travis Kelce at all, but you know what he means. You know what they mean when they say that. So, Ed, what do you think about that? Like, would you be fine with us selecting a tight end at 16 and/or trading back and getting one in mid to late 20s?
I wouldn't select a tight end at 16, but it's just the talent with Dalton Kincaid, man. He is very talented, basketball background, super athletic, good hands. He's like another wide receiver out there, man. You can line him up at the slot, line him up outside. So he would definitely help this offense out. And with the Chiefs, Eric Bieniemy, Travis Kelce, how they utilize him. So I'm not gonna say that he would be Travis Kelce, but and he has yak too. Like Logan Thomas gives you no yak, zero yak. He was already slow before the knee injury. He's even slower now. Had a couple of drops last year. Couldn't run block at all. Kind of got dominated in that Giants game. Had a couple holding penalties in that game too. So I love Logan for the way he spoke out against Scott Turner, him and his wife. I will always appreciate him for that. And his first season, he was really good. That 2020 year was really good. But now that's almost 3 years ago now. So it's far removed from that. Honestly, I would certainly consider releasing him. Honestly, and save some cap. But if they trade back and get Kincaid at 26, 27, I honestly would not be mad at that. I mean, you just think about Terry, Jahan, Curtis, and Dalton Kincaid. That would be a nasty offense.
Yeah, and you didn't even mention the backs and/or De'Ami Brown as a guy that could actually benefit from it. So, man, weapons galore. Dork says we need to put help around Howell on the offensive line. I definitely agree with that. Gus Bus says we have enough young talent in our tight end group. The best friend to the quarterback is O-line. Well, best friend to the quarterback as far as like a weapon-wise is tight end because he's the closest one to the line of scrimmage. But that's the thing is I know we have young talent there, but as of right now, we don't have a trustworthy number one. I would love for Amani Rodgers to groom into that Corey Turner, but right now we don't have a legitimate number one that we can rely on to do damage. Pedro, what do you say about that?
I agree with both of you. Don't want to take a tight end. Honestly, probably don't want to take one in the first round. Not taking one at 16 is too early for me. I just would not take one at 16. You trade back. I'm okay with Dalton Kincaid. Like, won't be ecstatic. I won't hate the pick. Like, I would probably give it like a C+, B- grade. Wouldn't love it. Wouldn't hate it. Depends on what we get in that trade back. I think Dalton Kincaid has potential. He, is, like I said, like a big receiver, can do some good things. What I don't want, do not give me Michael Mayer. And I know there are some Michael Mayer lovers out there. But when I've watched him, like even I haven't watched enough film this draft period because I learned my lesson last time. I watched like 8 or 9 guys like like
Jahan Dotson.
6 or 7 other games each, like probably 4 or 5 hours of each of the players. And I was like, okay, man, like draft day's coming. I'm going to know all about whoever we draft. And then we go ahead, trade back, get Jahan. And I had to go do my research on him. So I just watched highlights on Michael Mayer, but like he made some great plays. But for me, what I want to see is yak. And he offered no yak. He just caught the ball, has good blocks, and his route running is pretty good, but I just don't want to take him in the first. And I think he's probably going to be a late first, early 2. For Dalton Kincaid, would consider taking him in the first. But also, we have a not solid, but we have 3 young guys in the tight end room in Armani Rogers, Cole Turner, and Curtis Hodges. You can just play it out and see if one of those guys emerge and run it back with this tight end room and choose one of those 3 for the next year. That's kind of my take on it. And what I also don't want them to do is draft a tight end in the 5th or 6th round, just because we already have like 2 or 3 project guys. Unless you absolutely love one, I just think it doesn't make sense. So wouldn't hate Kincaid like at like 28, but wouldn't love it either.
Yeah, I will be fine with it, to be honest with you. Now, maybe 16 probably too early, but if we trade back, I'll be fine with it, to be honest with you. But I appreciate the donation, Philip B. Thank you so much. He says, I'm just ready for the draft. For the draft to see what talent we add. Yeah, Ed, you got any? I know you think you have any plans for the draft night. Anything special coming up for the channel?
No, Thursday night I'm just going to react to our first round pick. So I probably won't go live unless we do something crazy like trade up, which we probably won't, or trade a player or trade for a player. That's the only way I'm going to go live Thursday night. Friday night I'll react to picks, the 2nd round pick and the 3rd round pick. And Saturday, I will be at the Harbor. It's a 95.9% chance I'll be there. They're having a draft party, so it should be a good time.
All righty. So, hey, Ed, I know you probably have to go, so I definitely appreciate you for coming on for the time being. Anything that you want to plug, if you're still going down, let the people know where they can find you. And, that Locked On Wizards podcast, plug that too. Feel free, man. That's a great listen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, you can definitely follow me. If you type in YouTube Ed Oliver Skins or Ed Oliver Commanders, you can subscribe to my channel. Commanders updates all the time. And then Locked On Wizards, if you're a Wizards fan or just an NBA fan in general, you can type in Locked On Wizards on YouTube, Twitter, online, wherever, and you'll find me on there talking about Wizards about 5 days a week. So I appreciate you for having me on, man. You guys got great channels, so I'll definitely try to chop it up with y'all again. If they draft, I had to let you guys know about Jahan Dotson last year, so I had a told you guys about Jahan, man. So I was telling y'all Jahan was going to be good, man. I tried to tell you guys.
Yeah, definitely, man. I just wanted Chris Olave or Kyle Hamilton because I saw what they were coming out of college, and but now again, yeah, Jahan is definitely made me change my opinion on him, and I'm excited about this year too. But appreciate you, Ed, man. And you already know I always got to give Ed Oliver his flowers, man, because he is pretty much the reason I started my channel, because when I didn't even know Redskin Talk on YouTube existed until only person I ever saw doing it was you. So you inspired me to make my channel. So I always got to give you your flowers, man. Anytime I chop it up with you, bro.
The DJ Swearinger video. The DJ
paving that way. I appreciate you for paving that way for me, man. So definitely, bro. Have a good night, and
shout out to Swearinger too, real quick. DC Defenders.
Pick 6, yeah.
Got a pick 6. Hopefully he's back in the league at some point. But thank you again, Ed, for coming on, man. And I'll definitely have your links in the description. Have a good night, bro.
Catch you later.
All right, peace. All right, Pedro. I know you also have to go in a minute, so anytime you have to go, feel free to leave. But so back to it, man. Shout out to Ed Oliver again. Big reason why I started my channel. He's literally the only Redskins YouTuber I knew back in 2017, 18. So shout out to my man Ed Oliver. But yeah, Pedro. So draft day, we talk about 16, but really the real damage that is going to be done to really set the tone for this team is the middle rounds, 3 through probably 6. I would say 2, but that's still kind of early. So maybe like 3 through like 5 or something like that. What are you looking for us to add up in that position and that like that specific area of the draft for you to be like, yeah, we had a really good draft, you know?
You said rounds 3 through 5. What I'm looking to add?
Yeah, kind of, because like that's kind of like the middle portions of the
Yeah.
draft, and that's where you really do all your real damage at.
I would say, I mean, it really depends on what we do in the first 2 rounds, because if we don't take either a cornerback or a tackle / guard in the first couple rounds, we obviously got to get one of those guys. And if we get a tackle in the first, would not mind still drafting a guard round 3 through 5 or a center. And then also at linebacker, I would love for them to draft a linebacker in the 3rd round. I think that's one that they definitely should add. And then besides that, I mean, again, I said center, maybe guard, and I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, that's really it. I'd say running back, maybe starting in the 5th round, you could consider getting one. And I mean, Kevin said punt returner. If you can find a fast corner, or whatever position, if it's a receiver, that's fine. That can return. Hey, I'm happy. I would be happy with that.
Yeah, and I was just looking at the playoff score, man. Lakers lost, so that's kind of a bum. I'm kind of bummed out about that.
Ja too.
Yeah, kind of bummed out about that. But
are you a LeBron GOAT guy or no?
Nah, I'm a Kobe Dollar fan. That's my favorite player of all time. So I became a Lakers fan because of him. But yeah, so I was kind of bummed out about that. But they'll probably shake back, but probably not, because I mean, if they lost without John Morant, without John Morant, when John Morant gets back, it's definitely gonna be a hard task. But I mean, who didn't see that happen? I didn't expect the Lakers to go up 2-0 anyway. But back to what you just said, yeah, I definitely agree with you. Now, I don't know. I feel like we will probably find our punt returner maybe. I feel like we can find an undrafted guy. We don't necessarily have to waste the draft pick on maybe like the 6th round or something like that. But if we do get a punt returner in the draft, I would kind of hope he could do a little bit more, like maybe like a Sky Moore kind of guy, something like that could provide a little bit more than just the punt return ability. But did you mention kicker? I don't know if you did, but I definitely would like us to kind of get a kicker to at worst come in and make Joey Sly earn his job, man, because we let these kickers get too comfortable, and then they get out there and they mess up big time in big spots. I mean, what Joey Sly had 3 missed field goals in one game last year, so I definitely feel like we should bring in some kind of a competition for him. The only special teams guy that needs to be relaxed and just chill and could just do whatever is Tressway. And I believe today is his birthday, actually. Or yesterday may have been his birthday. So shout out to Schmith. But what do you say about that, Pedro? Adding a special teams guy, a kicker, and obviously, yeah, like you said, a punt return / kick return guy.
Not a huge fan of drafting like a punter, kicker, or a long snapper. But if it's kicker in the 7th round, I'm okay with it, because sometimes the 7th rounder doesn't even make the team, or they're guys that just really don't make that much of an impact. So, obviously we've had some okay 7th round picks, Dax Milne. He's not an all-star, but he's been a solid 7th round pick. Not a great punt returner, but he's he had a touchdown this past year. You can't expect much more from a 7th round pick. Shaka Toney, James Smith Williams, William Bradley King. Who else am I missing over the last couple of years? Chris Paul.
Cam Curl. I mean, I know he's only accepted like
years ago, but that one was like an exception because it was like the COVID year, and they couldn't meet with people. So I think I saw something where if COVID didn't happen, he was probably going to be
like a 4th round pick,
4th or 5th round pick. So a lot of these 7th round picks aren't that impact players. So if you want to go ahead and draft the kicker, if you think he can be a good kicker in that in the league, well, that's better than a practice squad edge rusher. It is. So I'm not totally opposed to it. If it's in the 7th round and it's one of the best kickers available, if not the best, go ahead and take it.
Exactly. I definitely feel like, because I mean, what the Bengals drafted Alec McPherson. I'm not sure if the Raiders drafted Daniel Carlson or not. I don't know if that was his first team. Definitely could be. He's really good. Obviously, the Ravens with Justin Tucker. I think he was undrafted though. I'm not sure. And then obviously, you got Harrison Bucker, another, some of the greats, man, in today's game. So definitely, like at worst, that's just bringing in competition for Joey Slap. Bloodshot Sports. I appreciate you, Bloodshot Sports, for the donation. Make sure you guys go ahead and check out his channel too. Really good Commander's channel. He says corner, linebacker, tackle, don't care what order. That's another thing that I feel like is kind of getting swept under the rug, Pedro. Like we typically, like the last couple of years, we've been talking heavy on linebacker. It kind of feels like that position is getting pushed like kind of under the rug. Like I don't really hear them really talking about the linebacker position how they once were. Would you say the same, or do you feel like they're actually looking at some linebackers to potentially draft? And would you draft a linebacker?
I would 100% draft the linebacker. Not in the first, probably not in the second. Like if they traded back in the second a little bit, I mean, I still wouldn't hate it in the second. Like I've been screaming for them to take a linebacker for a while now. So if they take a linebacker in the second round, not in the first, but in the second round, I'm fine with it. Third round's probably that sweet spot. Give me a linebacker. And yeah, I mean, they haven't really invested in the position that much. So go ahead and take a linebacker. We need one. It's just Jamin Davis right now and Cody Barton. You need some more depth there at the very least, and some guys that have potential. We don't have that right now.
Yeah, I definitely feel like we need to add another guy. I'm not the biggest fan of the Cody Barton signing. I wanted Cole Holcomb back. I know you was kind of like fine with letting Cole Holcomb go, but I wanted my guy Cole Holcomb back, man. He was homegrown, you know what I'm saying? And I felt like he was pretty solid in this defense, and he has that chemistry with Jamin Davis. So I wanted my guy Cole Holcomb back, but hopefully we could potentially find a Cole Holcomb replacement maybe in this draft, or another Cole Holcomb kind of stud in the sense of a 5th round pick where they're actually going to be making moves and actually contribute to the team. So I definitely want us to draft a linebacker also. And I wouldn't even be mad if we did it in the 2nd or 3rd round. Like I want a guy that's going to come in here and be impactful. But it just feels like they really haven't been paying that much attention to the linebacker room. So that's just my take on it. Dean says Juan or Pedro, is kicker Christopher Dunn not in this year's draft from North Carolina State? I'm actually not sure about that because I'll be honest with you, I haven't kept up with all the kickers.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So I mean, I could look it up, but I'm not sure right now. Linebacker in the 3rd round, Henley or Pace, if available, maybe Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They are interested in Dorian Thompson-Robinson. That is a good conversation to bring up too. Now, Pedro is the backup quarterback position. Hendon Hooker was a topic, but now they feel like he's going 1st round. What about Dorian Thompson-Robinson? What do you feel about him and just the overall bringing in a young guy to close out this quarterback room? Are you interested in doing that? And how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think he was talking about Dorian Williams, a linebacker. But yeah,
okay.
You're talking about the quarterback UCLA, right?
Yeah, I thought he was talking about the UCLA quarterback.
I wouldn't mind taking a QB in the 6th, 7th round again. We don't really have anyone on the roster right now that could be the 3rd string QB, maybe Jake Fromm, but like that's kind of it right now. Like, so go ahead and take one in the 7th. Aiden O'Connell, Max Duggan, Tanner McGee, any of those guys, maybe they'll be there in the 6th, 7th round and take them. Quarterback out of UCLA as well, like him, he's quick, dual quarterback, and then Malik Cunningham, I think, out of Louisville as well. I'm fine with any of them, honestly. Go ahead and take a guy in the 7th round to be that 3rd string quarterback.
Yeah, I definitely normally I would be like, all right, let's just get like an undrafted kind of guy or somebody like in the 5th or 6th round that ain't really gonna be nothing. But for the simple fact that we got Jacoby Brissett as our backup, we probably gonna want to bring in a young guy like DTR to groom him for then to be the second quarterback behind Sam Howell in next season, not the one coming up, but the season after that. So I definitely could see that being a situation where we do get a late round quarterback. I feel like that's what we should do, and I made a video on that also. Says get Dorian in the quarterback in the 6th round. We need an offensive outside linebacker. I think the guy from the Seahawks is going to be a good mic for us. Trade up in the 2nd round for Trenton Simpson, and you have the most athletic linebacker duo in the NFL. I don't know too much about Trenton Simpson. Again, I'm not the biggest college football watcher. Pedro, do you know anything about Trenton Simpson?
Yeah, linebacker at Clemson. He's projected to be kind of probably anywhere from 30 to 50. He probably will not be there at 47 for the Commanders, so probably will be an early 2nd round pick. I wouldn't mind it. Wouldn't mind it if you really, really like him. He is very athletic, like Gus Buzz said, so wouldn't absolutely hate it. So, yeah, I got to go right now, but appreciate you for having me on, and we'll probably be doing something for the draft, like you said, whether you're at FedEx Field or you're not. We'll do something for the draft. Should be fun. Less than a week away, man. Less than a week away from the draft. Really, really excited for that. And yeah, it was fun chopping it up with you and Ed.
I appreciate you for coming on, Pedro. Next time will be much, much better. And yeah, like you said, we'll be doing the draft. We'll be doing a draft live stream on my channel. Last year we did Pedro, so this time we're doing it on my channel. If you guys
think you're gonna go to FedEx or not?
I'm not. I thought they were gonna have a draft event, but I haven't seen anything about it. So maybe I'm just gonna be in my room like last year, and that's totally fine too. Because either way it goes, we're gonna stream the draft. So I appreciate you for coming on again, Pedro. Enjoy the rest of your night, bro, and I'll be in touch soon.
Yeah, man. All right, peace.
Peace. All righty, so shout out to my guy Pedro and Ed for coming on the stream tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We'll chop it up for a couple more minutes, and then I'll get out of here myself. Any comments, any questions, anything you want to address about the team, please leave it down below in the comment section. Make sure you guys subscribe if you're new. We're on the road to 6,000 subscribers, and we're trying to get there as soon as possible. So if you're new, hit that subscribe button. Even if you're old, check the notification bell to make sure that they're on. And even if they are on, turn them off and turn them back on, because a lot of people have been saying that they have not been getting my notifications. So please make sure you double check all that for me. Again, it's free, ladies and gentlemen. It is free. It doesn't cost a thing to subscribe to the channel. So we need another slot receiver, I think. Yeah, I mean, I would be opposed to it. I would love to get more speed. You can never have too much more speed. A lot of people have been talking about us needing a big body receiver, which is definitely a possibility, because they may not look at the guy that they got from the Chiefs as a potential threat. So we could definitely go ahead and get a guy that's going like a 6'4", big body kind of guy. But I probably would prefer to get another slot guy, like you said. Remember we had Steven Sims and we thought he was going to be something special. And remember AGG, that's supposed to be our big body receiver, man. We came so far from those days, man. So I definitely feel like the draft party's on the 29th. Okay, I thought it was something different, because last year I think they did a draft party at FedEx Field, because I remember my guys DMV Sports Zone was there and they interviewed Jonathan Allen. So maybe that was something totally different. But yeah, I do remember Ed saying that. I didn't know that was the same thing. So I appreciate you, Colin, for keeping me up on that. I might pop out for that. Kevin PR says, okay, I thought so he's really good. I say we get him in the 7th round, maybe undrafted guy. Let's see. Ross says the algorithm. Yeah, man, the algorithm ain't messing with your boy Juan Gotti no more. I don't know what I gotta do to get back on their good side. You know what I'm saying? But all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna call it a night. I'll definitely be chopping it up with you guys soon. Again, live probably next week, before the draft, and obviously during the draft. I will be going live on the channel with my man Pedro Schmith. So if you guys want to come watch the first round of the draft with us, please do so. And you'll see our live reaction to Washington trading back or selecting something at 16. So it's definitely interesting, and definitely the suspense is real. We're 8 days away from the draft. So again, I appreciate y'all for rocking with me, man. I got a video actually coming out after this live stream goes up, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And again, see you guys live again next week for the draft Friday. I got this Friday. I got my top of the morning episode 19 going live. So make sure you guys check that out. A lot of things coming for the channel, so just look out for everything. Actually, before we get out of here, fight is Saturday. Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia, man. Drop y'all predictions down below. I totally forgot about asking the fellas about their predictions, man. What do y'all think about the fight, man? Who y'all got winning the fight? I'm gonna talk more about it on my podcast on Friday, top of the morning. But this is definitely gonna be a really, really good fight, man. I'm a casual boxing fan, not fan, but boxing watcher. The only time I really watched boxing was when Floyd was fighting. And after that, now Gervonta Davis is fighting. That's pretty much when I only watch. But I'm definitely getting into it, man. I'm right now a casual watcher, like I said. But I definitely want to see the fighters best of the best. Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis fighting. Hopefully we can see Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson, all these guys, man. So I'm definitely interested. I don't have a winner necessarily, like a guy that I'm rooting for. I'm just in the middle. Just want to see a really good fight. The only thing that I'm praying is that it does not end fast, because you already know the fight ain't going to happen to probably like 11 p.m., 10 p.m. So hopefully that thing goes at least 7 rounds, man. It's scheduled to go 12. Hopefully it goes at least 7 to get our money's worth. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, let me know what y'all think about that. Also, again, stay tuned for all the content coming out on the channel. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me, and enjoy the rest of your night. And if you're watching NHL playoffs, enjoy that. And if you're watching NBA playoffs, enjoy that. Have a good night. As always, being boy Juan Gotti. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. I'm out. Peace. Cross me one time, that's gonna get you pop. Get you pop, get you drop. Slide on the one where they get you locked on. I ain't stopping till I get me an Audemars. Shots in his head, ring his bell like